Welcome. This is the first live broadcast of the song you heard. We're live here in Portland, and thank you everyone who may or may not be joining us from all over the globe and probably mostly Pennsylvania. Hi. I'm going to play the little intro to the song that named this series. I also want to say that the song you heard in its first incarnation was a TV show that I did with my partner at the time, Melanie Peters, who now lives in, I think, do you say Poulsbo? Is that how you say it? Washington? Poulsbo. So Melanie, some of you online might know Melanie because we lived in Lawrenceville for a while, and we played a lot, and we also did this TV show that was released on the local channels around Corning, New York, and kind of like what they call the Southern Tier, for those of you who obviously don't know that. They only call it the Southern Tier in the Southern Tier, so no one else would ever really even know that. Anyway, we were on a couple of different stations there, and that was a really fun thing to shoot. I mostly hated it. Melanie mostly loved it. She did all the editing and all the everything, and I can't really take any credit for it. But the show aired regionally, and that was really cool. And Melanie now lives in Poulsbo and has an awesome new record store, should you happen to be passing through there. It's called Rockin' Rubies, and I think it's also rockinrubies.com. So if you're looking for records, that's where you go. I'm so glad that we have that, and this is the reason that I call it the song you heard, because of this particular set of lyrics. If I had known the way, if I had known the way back, if I had known the way back home, I would be there with you, I would be there with you. If I become the bird, if I become the sky, if I become the song you heard, I will never die, I will never die. So, welcome to the song you heard. Thanks so much for being here with me and being here online. This is going to be a 6-episode series, and more coming at you every month. We can bend and we can break. You can turn us into your little pink houses. But in the end, you're only hurting yourselves. I wished for fire, I wished for flood, any natural disaster to stop this artificial one. But you can bend and you can break. You'll learn to burn, you'll learn to drink. We got a bridge to nowhere, we got a road that kills, we got polluted water, and we got naked hills. And that's progress, but it just don't look good to me. Well, they lie and they lie and they lie and they lie. They'll tell you anything just to get in your door. Dig up your heart, tear out your lungs, build your leg to stand on if it's any help. But you can bend and you can break. You'll learn to burn, you'll learn to drink. We got a bridge to nowhere, we got a road that kills, we got polluted water, and we got naked hills. And that's progress, but it just don't look good to me. Oh, you gotta know there's something good. and the birds are coming back too soon. You gotta know there's something going on. 'Cause you can't bend and you can't break. Learn to burn, you learn to drink. Oh, they lie and they lie and they lie and they lie. Oh, tell me, where will the feathers rest? And when will the bear scratch? When will the deer jump? And who will the fish catch if we're falling? There's so many falling now. Yeah. And that's progress, but it just don't look good to me. Thank you so much. I did not say that there were going to be guests, but that's the point of a podcast, is that you have guests and you interview them and they play their music, right? So my very special guest today is Darlene Solomon-Rogers, also known as Blacque Butterfly, and I'd like to invite her to the stage now. We're going to do a bigger interview and stuff, but we're going to start, I'm just going to let her kind of introduce herself. So I asked you in the questions that I sent to just kind of locate yourself. Like, how do you define yourself? How would you like to introduce yourself? And what do you want people to know about Blacque Butterfly?
Oh, there's so much.
We'll get to the much.
There's so much.
Like, just give us the basics.
Singer-songwriter, spoken word artist, activist, community engager. I've been told I'm an amazing hugger.
It's true. Is that on your resume? Because it should be.
You know what? It's not. Maybe
It should. It should be there. It should be there.
Hello, people.
So this is my very good friend Darlene, Blacque Butterfly, and we'd like to start by also calling Toni Hill to the stage because we're going to start with a piece of Darlene's called "I Saw You." Now we talked about whether to start with the story or end with the story of the song. So why don't we do the song and then let's start the interview part with the story of the song.
I like it.
Okay, good. Toni Hill, everyone, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Let me change my sound, Will. Hang on 1 second. Can we get a little round of applause for my friend Will Lewis? Will is running all of the sound and the camera and the live stream and everything. And I'm just so grateful. I can't even begin to tell you. So thank you so much. I think that's the right sound.
Thank you, Will.
Thank you, Will. Okay, I am ready.
I saw you. I was on my way home from a long day, and I was coming off the freeway and I saw you. You had a sign that read, "Pregnant and homeless," and I was wondering what kind of place is this that we live in that would allow you in your condition to be holding a sign by the freeway's edge. And I was wondering, was it a lie? Or was this a way for you to get high? Or was the money that you were getting allowing you to get by? I know that the word says you never know when you are in the presence of angels. And I was wondering, $3 could change the world. Should I give assistance here? Or are you playing with my emotions? I prayed to the Lord for answers, and that if I was to help you, that He would direct me to the money in my purse. And if I was to help this girl, Lord, I need you to enter into this world and help me make this decision. Say, I need your assistance. I reached in my purse and I pulled out $3 and I prayed, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, And I rolled down the window, and as I touched her hand and said, God bless you, something happened. Touch, 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 I touched your hand. I gave you my heart's offering. If $3 could change the world, I'd give my last to save this girl. I had to pull over, compose my thoughts and feelings, and share some tears to cleanse my soul. The contact that we made changed my life. I had to share this connection with someone who understood the connection between life and divine intervention. I had to shed my tears with the Most High and have Him console me. What has this world come to that we see people on the street with not enough or anything to eat, and we question it? What has made us so numb to compassion that we are asking ourselves, should we help? Someone in need? Someone with a seed? How do you know? I've asked myself several times over, what if it was me or you? Then what do you think we should do? See, we are all one paycheck, one house note, one rent payment away from homelessness. Can you handle it? Will you be able to make it? Do you have God's grace, or will you have to fake it? When I saw her, something changed my life. Was it yours? Touch, 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 I touched your hand. I gave you my heart's offering. If $3 could change the world, I'd give my last to save this girl. Touch, 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 I touched your hand. I gave you my heart's offering. If $3 could change the world, I'd give my last to save this girl. Save this girl. Save this girl. Save this girl. Save this girl.
So thank you for this. And let's start with that story. So that song allowed me to do something that I meant to do, which I will remember for next time, because my friend Audrey taught me to just be in the space for a minute and to sort of take a breath when everything starts and really arrive. But I felt like I really arrived during that song because I feel like we kind of hit that energy that I wanted to start with. Yeah. So I'll remember that for next time, but thank you for setting me up for that, because I was like, oh, now I'm here now. Yes, okay, that's good. So tell us the story of that song.
You know, it took me over a year. Every time I would perform this song, I would cry. Every single time. And it never fails, and here are the tears. So I worked for a youth continuum, and I literally worked with homeless youth all the time. And those youth are still with me today. Those babies stayed, and then I ended up forming a theater troupe and ended up started Soulful Showcase. So many things rolled into this. Yeah. But one of the things that came to mind for me when I wrote this is that literally every single time I engaged with a homeless youth, I usually saw them again. I never saw this girl again. I never saw her again. And there was the time when it says I had to pull over and compose my thoughts and feelings, because it's literally as soon as I touched her and gave her that money, there was just like this surge that came over me, and the tears, I began to weep so bad that I literally couldn't see. I had to pull over on the road and just bawl the most ugliest cry ever. And it just reminded me how fortunate we all are, the things that we take for granted. And it stuck with me so, so heavily. I went home and I called my mom and I told her the story, and I'm snotting and crying, and called Toni and was talking to her about it. And I was just like, there's this song that keeps coming out of me. I have to write it. I have to write it. And what you heard was what came out of that. It came out. It's on my first album, Kaleidoscope, Where Life, Love, and Grace Collide. And yeah, it still touches me. I will never, ever, ever, ever forget that moment.
Yeah.
And
what do you suppose that moment was? Was it something you got from her, or something that was yours that you just
Both.
felt deeply? Yeah.
Both. Because by the grace of God go I, it could have been me on the side of the road.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why that line is in there that says, what if it was me or you? Then what do you think we should do? Because that could be any of us at any given time. As a society, a capitalistic society, we get real judgy about people's various stages of homelessness, and we don't know the stories behind it. I serviced families in cars, and they were there because they literally just lost their jobs. Because the balance of the monetary gain that we get from work versus what we pay for housing does not match. And we're all just hanging on by a thread, and we just have to remember that we're better together.
Yeah.
You know.
So that's a really good segue into talking about your activism. So tell us a little bit about what that looks like now versus what, and if you want to throw in some of the past things, because you've got a rich history. Like Darlene is born and raised in Portland. So you've been here a long time. You know everybody. You've done all the things. So include whatever of the past you'd like to, but tell us, like, we're sitting in a space that is part of your activism. Yeah. So if you want to speak to that, if you want to start there and go backwards.
Yeah. I have a big heart. I am the biggest care bearer that you ever want to meet.
True.
It's to my detriment, but sometimes, I mean, I'm just like, da-da-da, here I am, here's my heart. Which took a long time to get there. That wasn't always that way.
Yeah.
It was not always there. But again, grace. I was grateful to be able to be in the positions that I was in and be able to run across some of the most amazing people ever. I was blessed to be able to be raised in a city that was very loving. The ladies on the street in my neighborhood took just as good care of me as my mom did. And they gave me a lot of wisdom, which is the reason how...
I loved that we were talking about that, because you said, like, people would just pull you aside and tell you stuff. Oh, yeah,
they'll pull your coattail. Absolutely. Where you showed out is where you got woe out. It didn't matter. If you were a child of the community made sure that you behaved correctly. And people just took more accountability for young people. It was the babies belonged to everybody because we were the babies, and we were representative of our communities and our families, and you were held accountable for the stuff you did.
So it sounds like that part of your upbringing led to a lot of your activism.
Absolutely.
So can you tell me about the Aunties program?
Oh.
Like, I know we're jumping in a little hard, but I feel like you sort of almost said it. So let's just do it.
Exactly. I'm just like, well, then that's kind of how we get here. So the Aunties program.
And this is a new program.
Yes, it's new. It's a new program, but it's been it's been brewing for a long time.
I was going to say, it's been
It's been,
percolating.
it's been percolating for a minute. There's so many different things that kept leading up to this moment. And I was just like, you know what? There's no time like the present. Now is all we have. Let's just start it. Because I'm surrounded by amazing women who would be amazing aunties. And every time I talk about it, I'm like, and will you be an auntie too?
So then how do you structure it? Tell us the structure of it.
So right now, it's still in the making, but I'm very selective about the aunties that I'm picking. Because there's so many things that, as a society, that we're facing that surround values and virtues or the lack of them, or opinions and judgments and no information. Our young ladies are getting all of their information off of the internet. And sometimes that's good, sometimes that's not so good. There isn't any value for wisdom. There's no value for lived experience. There's no value for being a woman and what that means and the wisdom that you bring. And so it's an opportunity to kind of rekindle that power, that empowerment that we have as we walk around this universe. Women have a very special place on this earth. We are the nurturers. We are the mothers. We are the aunties. We're the ones who allow you to make mistakes and then come by and say, you know, there may be a different way. I can tell you how I did it. And then you make your decision from there. But given that input, that exchange of information, that's what we're lacking as a community right now.
Yeah.
The elders aren't talking as much.
How do you get together with the aunties program? Do you have a certain amount of kids and a certain amount of aunties and you just hang out, or how does it go?
Oh my. It takes on various stages. An auntie can show up at a bus stop with a kid sitting there having a hard day. So the structure is very loose right now. But we are having intentional gatherings. Next week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I am part of and facilitating a group of African American BIPOC women and young ladies to do a race talks facilitation, because we live in Oregon. We live in Portland, Oregon specifically. And there's a lot of conversations that we're not having that we need to have, but we need to have them correctly. And like I was talking to one of my new aunties yesterday, allowing people the opportunity to make the mistakes, because this cancel culture that we have right now doesn't allow people to say, well, I thought this, and not get bashed and beat up. I value your opinion. I value the knowledge that you have, but I also value the lack of your knowledge. How do you learn? You think about it. If we ever had teachers that would smack us on the hand every single time we got something wrong, that would make us afraid to learn. And you can't learn unless you make your mistakes. You can't have an omelet unless you crack an egg.
Yeah, and you don't learn from getting smacked.
That part.
There's no connection.
Remember,
right?
that was abolished for a reason.
Yeah, totally.
Because that did happen.
Yeah.
And you know, I was blessed enough that I didn't go to Catholic school and get slapped with a reed.
I know, me neither.
Reed, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's switch gears just a tiny bit, because I kind of want to know where your art comes from historically. So can you tell us about Baby Darlene? Can you tell us about Baby Darlene?
There's
and
so much.
what she was into, and how, like, we've talked about, because you and I are kind of close horses a bit, and so we've talked about the fashion part, but I want to know more, like influences and programs you may have come through, and teachers, and anything that was important.
Oh my gosh, Baby Darlene was something else. First of all, my nickname as a young lady, like 3, was Grandma. I told everybody what to do and where to go, and cut off the lights because I needed to sleep and all of that. It was, Baby Darlene was something else. Yeah. I'm the only girl and the baby. And so that just made for a whole myriad of things. But because I had so many brothers, that gave me kind of a tough exterior, excuse me. Yeah, I was a bit of a tomboy. And then I went through the whole like blossoming, you know, I was.
You got,
I was
some body.
I got some body, yeah. I was a model for Wendy Ward.
Nice.
Yeah, I modeled for Montgomery Wards. But I got super girly. And I don't know when that happened, but probably in between drill team and, yeah, there was that. Mm-hmm. So there was drill team and there was dance classes. I was part of the performing arts school. And so, and, oh my gosh, I don't want to forget this small fact. There was always a band playing in my basement. My brothers were part of a gospel group. And so there were always musicians and singing around. Everybody in my family loves music. So my mom was the Motown sounds. My oldest brother was like classical, like theater themed stuff. Mm-hmm. And then my middle brother was jazz. And then my younger brother was like Commodores and Heat Wave. Mm-hmm. And I just bopped from one room to the other. I swear there is not a genre of music that I don't like.
Yeah.
And
and so you didn't pick up an instrument. You started as a dancer.
Nope, I started as a dancer.
So can you talk us through the trajectory from Darlene's a dancer to Darlene's an artist and a poet?
Somewhere in college, after I stopped dancing, I started writing. But my first love for writing and poetry came in the 6th grade. Mm-hmm. And I had this teacher named Jean Stinson. I will never forget this lady, and I pray that she's still around. She had this high beehive. I was bussed out. So, there's that. So I was bussed out from Northeast Portland to Southeast Portland. Mm. And that's kind of the reason why I got the name Butterfly. So I went from Northeast to Southeast, and then I went to high school in Southeast and in Northeast. So for my freshman year, I went to Franklin in the morning and Jefferson in the afternoon.
Uh-huh. So did you go academics and then dance?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And I ate my lunch on the bus.
I bet you did.
Yeah. Because it took an hour to get there. So that was literally like an hour of me like woofing down my chef salad so that I can get there and be around the drums and dance. So yeah, I went to rivaling schools, so that was always fun. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was kind of being in the world in so many different segments. Mm-hmm. That just allowed me to get to know everybody in the city, let alone my neighborhood.
Yeah,
yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And is that part of where your kind of community feeling comes from? Is being like you've been really that is really fun. Like those are, for those of you who aren't in Portland, mm-hmm. that is really the opposite edges of town.
Yes.
So you knew people from everywhere.
From everywhere.
And you lived in Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it made for a very interesting, exchange of information. Because culturally, there were so many different things that were going on.
Yeah, and Southeast is very different than Northeast.
Very.
And especially when you were coming up.
When I was coming up, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. And, it allowed me to get to know people versus thinking whatever somebody else said to me as my opinion. Mm-hmm. I got to actually get to know and engage with people, and mm-hmm. it just made me very well rounded in a way that a lot of folks aren't. Because there's some people who never even leave their neighborhood.
Sure, right, yeah.
That was not me. I was the gypsy. I was everywhere.
Yeah.
I lived in Southwest. I don't think there's anywhere in Portland that I have not lived.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm richer for it.
Yeah. Agreed. Thank you for talking about that.
You're welcome.
Can we talk a minute about this room? Because
yes.
Darlene also works for Sabin, which is a community housing developer. Mm-hmm. And we had lots of meetings that I was graciously invited to, thank you, to figure out what the community actually wanted as part of housing. So part of what we talked about and what kind of came to the fore is that we wanted places to meet and places to do things like this and heal and have community events where you're not renting a space and it's not costing $1 million and all of those kind of things. So can you talk about kind of the fight for that and how that kind of happened for you?
Yeah. So myself and Mr. Bobby Folther came together and formulated a group of folks called Hands Across the Table. And it happened during COVID. And so we couldn't actually meet.
We couldn't actually touch hands across the table, but
right. But we were across the table. And the concept behind Hands Across the Table is being able to sit down and have a meal. When you break bread with each other, it opens up a space in your heart somewhere. When you share food, and have conversations. That's when the best conversations at my house used to happen. We'd sit down for dinner, and my mom would start shooting off the questions. How was school? What did you do? Who did you meet? And it was like it's a comfort spot for folks. And so we reached out to the community and talked about the fact that we were all hurting and we needed to heal. And what does that healing look like? And one of the number one things is we need a place to be. We need a spot to be able to gather. And as BIPOC and African American folks, everything around here is diminished. Erasure is the best word. All the places where I grew up when I was a kid, if not all of them, most of them are gone.
Yeah.
And replaced with something else that doesn't represent the community at all. So right. That was the catalyst to getting this building. They were like, we need a place to be. We need a place to congregate. We need a place to just enjoy each other's space and not have to be under the thumb of oppression while we have these conversations that's going to heal our community.
Yeah.
And so, welcome to the Center of Re-Engagement.
Yay. And so you're planning lots of events here.
Lots.
But you're also planning a lot of healing events here.
Lots of healing events.
Yeah.
We've had a couple. We've had some meditation. We've had a livability festival where folks got together and brought their wares to sell. And that's the other thing. It's like it's a part of economics as well. How do you empower people when you don't allow them to share what they have to bring? And during that time, people couldn't physically work.
Right.
So people were at home creating. And because of that, a lot of us chose not to go back to the workforce.
Yeah.
Because we understood that we had something that we could create of our own to be part of our own economic ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of opportunities for that have come together. We just did an amazing Kwanzaa event.
I missed it, and I'm so sorry I did. But I saw all of the footage, and it was so great.
So good, so good. And we were able to just implement as many principles of Kwanzaa as we could. Mm-hmm. And that was the thing to be able to keep us going through from now on, to just remember those principles and use those and move forward.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Yay. Let's see. What is that? Let's talk a little bit more about writing and process. So I had a couple of notes because I know that for me, I think, it's funny that a lot of the younger folks have discovered us as Gen Xers, and they're talking about it, and that cracks me up every time I see somebody post about it. But it's also made me realize a lot of really funny things about our generation that I really appreciate about us. We are kind of a little bit set apart in a lot of really interesting ways. Mm-hmm. And we've seen a lot of technology especially, but lots of different things. And the song that I'll play to end the show today is sort of my homage to our generation. Yes. And I think
one of my favorite songs.
Thank you. Well, and I played it for I'm doing it for that reason too. But I feel like what I wrote as my question is, as a fellow Gen Xer, can you speak to the climate of how and when we grew up and how it influenced you as an artist? So like the influences that you had because of it, plus just that time and how it influenced you. Like for me, there was a little bit more freedom, a little, because we were all trying to be a little different than we were before. And I feel like the spirit of that is not now.
Absolutely.
Right. But like, how was it for you?
So many things. I mean, first of all, as young people, we just had the freedom to just go out in the world and come back home when the streetlights came on.
Right.
So that was just like all day of doing whatever, and being trusted to make good decisions, to go out in the world. And
Or even if you weren't trusted.
that part.
You were still there.
Listen, you just like, when you come home crying, hi, Mom, I love you, because you just about got hit by a car because you playing in traffic, But it's just, it's just like, there was such an empowerment, though. We weren't sitting in front of screens.
No, that's a good point.
We were trusted to go out in the world and forge a path, and
we did.
Oh God, did we ever? But at the same time, because of that, you and I are the women that we are today. If something gets broke, we know how to fix it.
Yeah.
Like when the chains came off of our bikes, there wasn't nobody around. We had to figure that out. You learned how to flip your bike over and put the chain back on, where that doesn't happen right now. Yeah. These young people very rarely go outside, and let alone go outside together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a lot more trust. The world was a little bit safer, and we learned how to fix things and figure it out. We didn't have all the answers right in front of us, but we figured it out together, and it was totally different in that way.
Yeah.
And we didn't.
And do you feel like is that part of how you became an artist? Because you were like, I think I'd like to make a thing. Let me figure this out. Like, was that kind of part of it, or did you have other impetus for that?
There were so many impetuses. And like I said, so the
beehive lady.
The beehive lady.
Yeah.
6th grade. She found out that I loved to read, and I would find like the hardest English teacher, and that would be the class that I would pick to go in. And she was like, "There's something in you. I need to take you somewhere." So she just allowed me to just go in the library and just sit in the Black author and poet section, and I would read and read, and I fell in love with Nikki and Sonia, and and it was like that. It started this spark in me, but at the same time, my mom's a writer and a poet.
Yeah,
and it was something that I didn't understand the beauty of it until I got in college. And then once I got in college and I started to write myself, I was doing it for therapy. Yeah. It was just like it was like an extended of journaling. Yeah.
That was your first.
That was my first experience with it, and I used to write on everything, on phone books and all kinds of stuff. But it was between the love for poetry that I learned at school and the love for my mom's words. It was just like this beautiful exchange, and I was like, I think I like it. I think I want to do it.
So what was your first venture into that? Did you sort of accidentally write a poem and think, "Ooh, I should tell people this," or how did it go?
Blame it on my friends.
Okay.
Blame it on my friends. My bookends. Both of my best friends. I called them one day because I had this thing. Matter of fact, it was Black Girl, Can I Comb Your Hair? I called to share it with them, and there was silence over the phone, and I was just like, "Why aren't you guys saying anything?" They were like, "So there's this open mic thing that we think that you need to go to," and I was like, "What? No, I'm not ready for that yet." And they were like, "Yeah, we think that other people need to hear what you have to say," and they pushed and pushed and pushed, and then I had this other friend who I was helping her move back to Kansas City. And she was like, "Oh, okay, well, you're done now. There's 2 things." And I said, "One." She was like, "There's an outfit in there that I bought you, and here's your ticket you're going to the open mic tonight. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, so we're done here. My U-Haul's ready, as ready as it's going to get, and I need you to get down there because people need to hear your words.
So then was it a thing that you did once and you were just hooked, or was it slower?
I went a couple of times.
Just did little,
did the
dip?
little toe in the water, yeah. We had this amazing venue called Love Jones, and it was every Thursday. And no matter what was going on, everybody
I'm
would
so
stop
sorry
what
I
they're
missed
doing.
Love Jones.
Oh my
Because
God!
when I hear you talk about it, it just sounds like the place I wanted to be.
Love Jones was the place, man. It was just, there was so much going on in there. There were budding artists of all kinds. Oh my gosh, so many things. But yeah, it was a weekly thing. It was supported by Jammin' 95.5. Sony and Ebro and OG1. Shout out to OG, because you're still doing the thing. I love you, bro. But they got together and they were just like, yeah, we're going to have this thing. And they would have artists coming through that would, there would be touring, and they would come and do a performance at Love Jones. And we literally, it was just like our launching pad. There's so many beautiful artists and poets came out of Love Jones.
Yeah. That's cool.
And so there's a news article somewhere with me saying, yes, we all come here, we do poetry and we love it, but poetry is therapy. We come to get the stuff off of our chest that we can't handle. And that's, if you know anything about artists and activism in history, we're always the ones that are on the front line, the catalysts of change. And intentionally or unintentionally, we have to do what's in us to do. And so that's how my art and my activism came together.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yay. Let's see. I want to see if there's anything I missed.
Oh, I'm sure you're going to think of something when this is over.
Well, I have one. I had one question that is kind of written, but also the thing that was interesting to me was when I was talking about the show and what I was going to ask and trying to figure out what I was going to ask. Audrey said, I'm so glad that you're doing this because I'm a new songwriter and I want to hear what you guys have to say and what's your process and all that kind of stuff. So can you speak to that? Can you speak to kind of how you write? Do you go back to things? Do you get downloads? How do you put stuff together?
All of the above.
Yeah.
All of the above. And
how about I Saw You? Did that just show up because of that story?
Yes. Divine intervention.
Yeah.
It was literally like, had I not experienced that, I wouldn't have been able to write it in the way that I wrote it. Right. And there is not a time that I've not performed that where people start to be introspective. Yeah. They think about those lost opportunities where they saw somebody, or they thought about the opportunities where they actually helped somebody. And it just brings you back to your humanity. It's like, it's an opportunity to show up for real. How do you assist somebody? Yeah, it was $3. It wasn't very much, but it was what I had, and I knew that it needed to be there. It was just like there was a surge that came over me and was like, give. Don't even think about it. Just reach in your purse, and whatever comes out is what comes out. And because I was driving, so it's like I couldn't really look in my purse. So I just reached down in my purse, and that's what came up. And I prayed Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And I gave it to her. And it was just like, I will never, ever, 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 ever forget it. Yeah. It says in the word that if you have been asked for your shirt, give them your coat too. And it doesn't cost you anything to be kind. Yeah. Kindness is something that we all need to be more of. Love is the thing that's going to get us through all of the ugly. So.
Yeah, that's really true. Okay. Well, and so as far as advice or tips, tricks, or.
Just write.
Yeah, no matter what.
No matter what.
Well, and so do you have tips for getting unstuck? What's your favorite, I am super not inspired, so I'm going to blah.
Start writing. Absolutely. I will write. No, really. That's exactly because otherwise you will stay stuck. I literally will write, I have writer's block. I don't know what I'm going to write. And write in cursive. I know that probably sounds like something strange. Write in cursive.
Yeah.
It engages your brain in a different way
It's
than when
true.
you print.
Yeah.
Just a little food for thought.
It's full of flow.
All of the flow. All of
It's
the
full
flow.
of flow.
All of the flow. Your pen does not lose contact with the paper. It's the flow, and it flows through. And like I said, I've written some stuff that will probably never see the light of day.
Yeah. Oh, I got the whole show for that.
But I had to get it out. And if you allow yourself to just tap into the deepest emotion that you have and not let it be fear-based, and allow yourself to feel, because this world has kind of made us turn off some things. Our compassion, our connection, our compass. So direct yourself back. Write those things that scare the crap out of you, because those are the things that people need to hear. Artists are not made, they are picked to deal with the stuff that other people don't want to. And we have to say it. It's in us to say it. And we're all artists in some way. And so don't ever think that what you have to say is not important enough, because that is not true. Because you told the universe that you were going to be here to do a thing. Remember who you are, and remember why you came.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I think, do you have a favorite piece of your own? Or do you have many? Do you have something that you, every time you do it, you're like, oh, that one sits comfortably, kind of like old friend style?
Yeah,
Do you?
there's a couple.
Would you be willing to share it? And since we did the song and then the story, will you tell us the story and then do the piece this time?
Sure, let me take a look
Okay.
at right quick and see what we got here.
I'm going to turn myself into an audience member for a while. Can I sit with you? And then will you do a piece or two or three
Yes.
on your own? And then when you feel like that time has completed, will you invite me back and we'll do blink of an eye?
Absolutely.
Okay, I love it. Thank you.
You know, most of the time when I perform or I share, I do it from memory. And I've been writing a lot, and I haven't memorized a lot of stuff. And so forgive me if I look at paper, but eventually it'll come out on an album. And then and it won't be on paper. But this is the one that's kind of coming up for me right now. We be a resilient people. We've gone through wars and battles seen and unseen. We've had our vices snatched and deferred dreams. We've had our scars, some old and some new, some that need the scabs ripped off so new blood can run through. We share our woes and our victories, expand our vocabulary, and explain life's mysteries. We spit fire like dragons, carefully aim flames, burning through sorrow, praying that what remains is worthy. We be a resilient people. Broken vessels remade anew, from being compromised, compressed and stretched, and put back together with glue, making it work the way only we can make it do what it do. We be searching for answers on walls within these rooms. We are reaching for the balm to heal these wounds, but it works when it works, when we are in tune, breaking generational curses given to us in the womb. We be stretching for change so our majesty can come through. We be a resilient people. From different states and nations, keep doing the work for the next generations. They need a map with legends and landmarks. Keep sharing your words. Continue to pour out your hearts. They need your guidance
inspiration, your spark, as we journey on this path and press toward the mark of our higher calling. They are watching, it's true. They need to continue to see the resilience in you. We be a resilient people. This piece is called Art is Not the Property of the Elite. We have to show up to the party even if it's a pity party. Celebrate our differences and look for the exits. Fill our dance cards with revolution and activism. And boogie like no one is watching. You not being authentically you doesn't allow me to be authentically me. And that's a travesty to any society. Art is the means of communicating frustration, agitation, and misrepresentation. Ongoing, past and present, on topics that are too hot or too hard to talk about. Communicate. It's a human right. The dialogue can begin, and I can use my art to offend and paint a picture and not pretend that everything is okie dokie, because it's not. We have too many haves and too many have-nots. Art cannot be the property of the elite because they don't have the necessary tools to create it. Art is built from frustration and disenfranchisement. See, artists are not made, they are picked to deal with the difficult shit that society's let slips through the cracks. Artists carry the weight of the world on our backs. We say what you've been thinking. We do it without blinking. Because if you look too closely, we would run most swiftly and hide behind the largest rock and find you there. And no one would dare to speak. This is why art cannot be the property of the elite. Art is not the property of anyone. Art is the shit that makes you think. And this space is not for sale. You know what, Jenna? You didn't say whether or not I could say swear words. You cracked me up with the I'm from the country. I love it. So right now, the world is kind of to quote George Carlin, a Mongolian clusterfuck. So that there's of us that are old enough to know who George Carlin is, and if you don't, look him up. Oh my God, he is like, I love him. He just made sense. He just told the truth, and it was just blunt and honest. So anyway, love George Carlin. Yeah. While the world is in a panic, children of the Most High are standing, preparing for a great revealing. Only God knows how we're feeling. Ready for the harvest of the righteous, rejoicing, praying day and night, and looking forward to the judgment of the wicked. Fall, Babylon, fall, Babylon, fall. Fall, Babylon, fall, Babylon, fall, fall. Signs are being revealed. The winds of change have stilled. Scales are falling off the eyes, the unlearned becoming wise. We know who's our provider. We call Jehovah Jireh, he who has supplied manna from the sky. And fall, Babylon, fall, Babylon, fall. 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 Fall, Babylon, fall, Babylon, fall, fall. And the walls came tumbling down. and the walls came tumbling down, and the walls came tumbling down, 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 down. Come on back up here, Jenny. It don't
All
matter.
right, so this is a song of mine called Blink of an Eye. This was one of the first songs that I wrote with Melanie, but she's such a good guitar player that there's no way I could ever duplicate this. So I turned it into an a cappella number, added Darlene, and I just called this the slappy clappy version. So I hope you like it. You ready?
Yep.
In the blink of an eye, love grabs you. And in the blink of an eye, things change. At the drop of a tear, you leave me. And at the end of a year, we're strangers again. And I came full circle. I looked to find. And I came to know you in my own time, in your own mind.
In the blink
If
of
I
an eye.
have read your mind, then I apologize. And if I came too close to the truth, I'm so sorry. Your kiss tastes like home, even if I go there alone now.
In the blink of an eye, we go from being able to go without each other's touch to not touching very much. We went from being in two-stepping tandem to a staccato preamble. From basking in bliss with eyes closed kiss to awkward moments of silence. Once in the blink, the closed eye revealed galaxies and unlimited possibilities. Once opened, harsh realities and travailing obstacles endlessly. In a blink, moments that flash past, life moving too fast, become time flies when peace resides, to long sighs and abrupt goodbyes. In the blink of an eye.
And I don't know if I can miss you. If I have read your mind, then I apologize. And if I came too close to the truth, I'm so sorry. Your kiss tastes like home, even if I go there alone now.
We go from finishing each other's sentences to questioning, who is this? To know that's not what I meant. In a blink, wondering when the cycle will end and will bliss be our friend again. 365 days can change a lot of things. Stunted, stuck, decisions, seasons, and growing pains. But then, in the blink of an eye, we're back on track. Reclaiming the love that we lacked. In the blink of an eye, love grabs you. In the blink of an eye, things change.
In the blink of an eye, love grabs you.
In the blink of an eye, things change. At the drop of a tear, you leave me. And at the end of a year, we're strangers again. Yeah, we've got new musicians there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have one more question.
Okay.
this show is called The Song You Heard because the lyric goes, "If I become the song you heard, I will never die." What are you proud to leave behind? What's your legacy?
Ooh. Oh my. You know, I'm grateful to have been the first stage that a lot of these artists that we have in our city started on a soulful showcase or Blacque Butterfly Presents platform. And they're doing so good. And it makes me happy and cry all the time because we're better together. And to give somebody an opportunity to share their voice is priceless. And so I think that's the thing that I'm most proud of is being able to be obedient enough to create the platform for them to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I also have, so I want to give a little shout out to my dad, whose birthday was yesterday. Hi, Al.
Hey, Dad's
Happy
birthday. My
birthday.
dad's birthday today.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I love that. I also have one surprise question, courtesy of our friend Toni Hill. She said, ask her about performing in sunglasses.
Yes, that's a thing. And that was one of the things that I passed along.
So can you tell me that?
Yes.
What is that? Because I don't know that story.
So if you think about it, have you ever seen kids when they do stuff at the table and then they turn their face and they're grabbing it and they think because they're not looking at it, you can't see it? Yeah, that's what sunglasses are about. Sunglasses are, it used to freak me out to look out in the audience and see all these people looking at me because I don't know if it's the tone of my voice or what, but people tend to go quiet. And that used to freak me out. I'm just like, oh, they're listening. I mean, like they're really listening. And so I would put on sunglasses and I would perform my whole heart out because you couldn't see the fear in my eyes, but I could see you and you could see me, but you couldn't see that. And so, yeah, that's what the whole, and that was something that I also passed on to another artist who was an amazing rapper. And he was just like, I can't do it. I can't look at the people. And I said, here, take my sunglasses. And I sent him on stage, and you know what? He's making lots of money these days.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's what the sunglasses story is about.
I love that. That's great. That's perfect. I'm so glad to know that.
Yeah.
You don't need that anymore though. Did you come from, like I did, I had to work through a lot of stage fright. Did you also?
Using my voice. Because remember, I was a dancer and
right.
theater kid. So I was always used to being able to do the ta-da. But it's like when you want to strip down and it's like all you see is me, that was a whole nother thing. That was a whole nother layer of vulnerability. Yeah.
And how did you get through that? What were things that helped?
Being able to tell your story and have people embrace that and be able to say, oh my God, because I heard you say that, now I can. And it changed everything.
And how many performances do you think you did before you got comfortable?
I still am comfortable. I'm never comfortable. You know, I think you get to a point where that authenticity that's in you shows up whether you want it to or not. But yeah, I still get nervous. I still get butterflies. I still can't eat before performances.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I'm still a vessel. And I'm used to translate messages. And so that, you can't be cocky with that. You just can't. There's the best way I could describe it as, like I say all the time, I'm blessed to be a vessel. And the opportunity to be able to move myself out of the way and allow the Most High to show up in my art to be reflected in that that's what shows up.
Mhm.
And so I will always be nervous because I want to make sure that I poured me out, poured the Most High in before I come before you. And that's my answer, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Tell me what you're working on now. What's up and coming?
Oh my. So I'm working on another album, and I have 2 books in the making. One is a children's book, and one is semi-biographical.
That's a new genre. Semi-biographical.
Semi-biographical. It's just like,
I think I've written a couple of those
yeah.
too.
I'm just like, how much do I want? I don't know if they're ready for that. But it's been beautiful. I've been painting.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm not an artist. There's no Picasso here.
Mhm.
But it feels good to get it out and to do a little bit more. And I've been playing more of my instruments.
Yeah.
I have a studio full of instruments, and I don't know how to play none of them.
Do you find that, I've heard people talk about this, and I know that it happens for me quite a lot very organically. If you are, say, a violinist, and that's really all, that's your form of art,
Mhm.
but when you take a break from that, but you're still doing some other form of art, you get lots of other feedback from that. Does that
Yes.
happen to you? That happens to me a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have this steel tongue pan drum, and there used to be this, basically it was a park, but it was like a rainforesty type of thing. It was a Japanese gardens. And I would go in there at crack of dawn in the morning and play loud as I wanted to because I knew I wasn't disturbing anybody.
Mhm.
And people would walk through and they would start throwing money in the case.
Oh, okay.
And I was just like,
Oh, okay.
I promise you I'm out here practicing. And they were like, no, we thought it was part of the place because it goes so well
Mhm.
with this Japanese gardens. And I was just like, maybe I stumbled upon something. But it felt good to me because the vibrations are just beautiful. And
Yeah.
if you've never done it before, do it. Get yourself a steel tongue pan drum. Bless you.
Mhm.
And it changes your whole frequencies. It's a beautiful thing. So yeah.
Cool. So you've got lots of projects coming up.
Mhm.
Where can people find you, and how do you want to interact with the public?
Oh my.
Because you can say it on the video, and then I'll post it. Also.
You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook. Blacque Butterfly. BLACQUEBUTTERFLY. On Instagram and Twitter, it's Black BLACQUEBFly, capital BFLY.
Cool.
Yeah. Or you can go to Reverb Nation
Oh yeah.
/Blacque Butterfly.
And that's your main. You can hear
That's my
music,
main, yeah.
and you can hear your music on Spotify and everything else, right?
On all the digital platforms.
Yeah.
If you spell my name right. There's a whole lot of Black somethings that have showed up over the years. But I've been Blacque Butterfly for over 20 years. So. But yeah, if you spell it right, you'll find all of the things.
Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely appreciate you.
Also, I really love this necklace because it looks like a shield for your heart. And I feel like sometimes we all need those.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you so much. Anything else that I forgot that you want to add? Or any words of wisdom you want to leave us with?
Remember who you are and why you came, because we need you now. Please show up. Please show up and be authentically 100% you.
Yay.
Please.
Yeah, for sure.
And thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience have any other questions for Darlene or for me? If not, I'll play a song and then we can just hang out. That works too. Yeah? Okay, cool. I'm just gonna do this. Is that okay, Will? Okay, cool. Thank you, Darlene.
Thank you.
All right, so this will be 45. And I wrote this song when I was 45, which I'm no longer. But it still is my homage to Gen X, and it's one of my favorite songs. It's Darlene's favorite song of mine. And I thought that I would play it with my tracks because I made this song in my friend Chris Allen's studio. Shout out to Chris Allen. Hi.
Hey, Chris.
And this was a really busy time in my life, but we would work 2 hours a week. So I made 2 songs. It took like 6 months, but it was all I had and I did it. You know, it's like sometimes that's what being an artist means is like you do what you can and you don't care how long it takes or whatever happens. You just are going with it because it's your practice. And that's kind of how I feel about everything these days is I kind of just incorporate the things that I want and I just treat them like a practice, as in like, if I can only chip away at this for 15 minutes a day, that's okay. It turns into, all those little habits turn into something bigger at the end, right? So I was talking with my friend Angie, hi Angie, and she was saying, we were just talking about how we felt like everyone we knew that was kind of our age just was really struggling at this time. And I was like, why do you think that is? And she said, well, they told us that we were gonna die every like 5 years. And she's like, we didn't plan for any of this. We never thought we were gonna be 40 or 50 or anything. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, you're right. That does really speak to it, right? And so I got thinking about it and this song kind of just came out in one tiny piece. And then gradually it grew. So this is 45. Hit it. I am unabashedly 45. I am surprised to still be alive. 'Cause we were all latchkey kids, running wild, doing what we did. Then they started the war on drugs. That was really a war on us. And then we were supposed to die at the end of 1999. And so we slept through Y2K. We partied hard and woke up the next day. Then the same in 2012. It was the end, but we rose above. And lots of us have survived cancer. We can go on, we are the adapters. We have the connection. We are the last connection. And we've got time we never knew that we had. They say time flies when you're having fun. Does it crash down when the fun is done? We run from the just run out of time. I am unabashedly 45. I am surprised to still be alive. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for attending in person the first broadcast episode of the song you heard. Thank you for tuning in live on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're finding us. I am planning to post this as a podcast, so please subscribe when you see the thing. I will post my Venmo information after the fact. So if you watched and you super appreciated it, please know that all of your money goes to the artists. And thank you. I appreciate every person who tuned in. I hope you'll come back. Those that are in the audience, I hope we can grow this. It'll be in a different place for a couple of times, and then I don't know where we'll actually land. But I'm planning for 6 episodes. If it takes off, we'll just keep on going. So thanks again, and we can stop the live stream now.